Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth with Outlander Travel, and I just need to bring Mike in here. We had some technical difficulties, but he is here. Just give me 1 second. Oh, all right. There he is. I don't know why we have another guest in the technical problems. Let me see if I can get rid of that one. All right, here we are. So, Mike Edick from Pioneer Travel. Hello, how are you? You made it. So we try these things, but we practice and then computers don't work. Troy, hi, I see you there, tuning in from Seattle. I hope the weather is good there. And Sandy, I see you as well. It's good to see you. Guys, if you want to drop comments in as we talk, we would love to hear from you. I will shoot some comments up on the screen as I can. If you have a specific question, if you could just do me a favor, I'm doing this without my glasses tonight. So if you could put a big Q at the beginning and then your question so that I know that it's a question. Otherwise, I may skim over it and not look really closely at it. And I'll try not to do this all night to your faces. So what we wanted to do tonight, Mike and I just got back from Cancun. It was super nice. Margaritaville, which is the Margaritaville Island Reserve Riviera, Cancun. And we were invited by
Delta Vacations and Delta Airlines.
Yes, and we're very grateful to them. So full disclosure, we were on a bit of a ride here, but we do try to be as impartial as possible when we do these things. So we have two sort of sections of what we want to talk about tonight. One is the resort itself, and then Sandy already asked a question without the cue. Sandy, follow directions. Follow directions. So we want to spend the first half talking a little bit about the resort, and then we're going to talk a little bit about testing and what it's like to travel in and out of the country at a time like this. And we figured that by doing this tonight, we should be sort of helping the CDC decide to lift that travel restriction of needing to test. So we'll give you lots of information tonight that you won't even need. But, hey, that's what we're here for, right? So sorry, Sandy, you're right. There is a time delay. So thank you. So the first thing I am learning this live stream software just as we're doing this. So please bear with me. There are better ways for me to share photos, but I had to sort of paste this together quickly as I was trying to get Mike online, and we were struggling here before we got started. So I do have a few pictures of the resort that I'd just like to share here. And let's see, Mike, you've disappeared, and I apologize for that. But let me see if I can get you brought back in.
I'd rather look at the pictures of the resort than that.
So, and I'm gone too now. So let's take a look. And my background is from, shinier days in Miami when lots of cruise ships were in port, but that's flying back from the Caribbean, flying into Miami. But here we have the front lobby of the resort. And as soon as you enter the lobby, there are a lot of things there to remind you of Jimmy Buffett. Mike, do you know what these are?
Well, you've got the flip-flop and you've got the pop-top.
Yes, you can't see those yet, though. So these light fixtures are the Margarita glasses, and they've been turned upside down to make light fixtures, or turned right side up, whichever way you happen to be looking at them. So, and then the aforementioned flip-flop that Mike mentioned and the pop-top. You cannot have a Jimmy Buffett style resort without flip-flops and pop-tops. And they actually gave us flip-flops at check-in, right, Mike? Did yours fit?
They actually fit, yes. After trying a couple of different pairs, I finally found a pair that was larger for my feet.
And did you blow one out? Did you step on a pop-top?
I did not step on a pop-top, so I did not blow up my flip-flop.
Excellent. That is excellent news. All right. So just looking at some of the buildings here, and I realize, actually, Mike, I don't think you can see these, can you, as I showed?
I cannot.
Okay. So sorry about that. But I'm just showing some pictures of the buildings. First, we're looking at the buildings on the side that we stayed in, and you'll notice they're named after Jimmy Buffett songs or Jimmy Buffett's planes, or, something dealing with the Buffett culture. So we're looking at changes in latitude and then the changes in attitude building. the Banana Wind building. So all you can basically tell people where you're staying based on those names. And then I'm showing a picture of one of the swim out suites. And I know, Mike, you can't see this, but I'm sure you can comment on the swim out suite. Was there something about these suites that sort of struck you as a little different?
They were nice because they had a bigger pool to swim in. It wasn't just a small canal that is in a lot of the resorts. It's a little larger area you can go out and swim around in.
Yep. And you will notice if you have children, and this is a family-friendly resort, there is a ladder going into the pool. There is not a little drop-off. You just plunk right into the pool. So something to think about if you have little ones who are not yet swimmers. It might be best to stay away. I'm now showing pictures of the bed in the evening before bed, the turn-down service. There's not official turn-down service. They don't come in and turn down the bed, but the lights are dimmed. And then just a close-up of the sheets here that have little parrots on them, little parrots on the amenities in the bathroom. So very, very Buffett focused. Now, I am now showing a picture, Mike, of the mini bar in the room, which you probably remember has a shaker and an ice bucket, margarita glasses, as well as regular glasses and real coffee mugs, because they want you to make margaritas in your room, which is a really cool feature as well. All right, so I'm going to go back to our faces just for a little bit of change of scene, and I want to check the comments as well. So let's talk a little bit about the mini bar. Mike, you want to talk about how they do this? This is an all-inclusive resort, but unlike many all-inclusives, the mini bar is not fully stocked. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was a little strange when you go to a regular all-inclusive resort. Your mini bars are stocked with all your alcohol and sodas and everything else. But in this case, all you have are bottles of water. You are given a wristband that has points on it. You have to go to the store to cash points for beverages, any alcohol, sodas, snacks, anything else. The cooler itself is only going to be stocked with bottles of water in it.
Yep, and so I'm showing a few pictures of some of the options in the little sundry bar, the different beers you can get. And I don't know, I really liked, so full bottles of alcohol is showing you some of the brands you can get. And you'll notice these are not necessarily the cheapest brands out there. There's some really nice brands of alcohol here. So you basically get to create your own mini bar. What did you think about that, Mike?
That was nice to have the option to be able to purchase based on how many points you have based on your stay. Go out and get whatever you want instead of having the room service come in and have to talk to them about what you want to do every time.
Yep, I agree. At first, I thought I would really hate it, but I think that two things make it really wonderful. First of all, there's no waste because you're only going to go and pick out the things that you really want. So if you don't drink gin, you don't need a bottle of gin in your room. So some resorts will go ahead and put that there, and then there it is. And they, in theory, shouldn't be reusing that for the next guest. They have to change it out. So it sort of generates a lot of waste. And, you certainly can pocket those things and take them home with you because they're technically yours, but you may not want to carry 4 bottles of alcohol home with you. So this way you really do get to pick and choose what you want. Snacks too. At a lot of all-inclusives, they'll give you peanut M&Ms and some Pringles and maybe something that's sort of a potato chip of the region. But in this sundry store, you could get candies and nuts and little treats that were definitely from Mexico that you may have never tried before. It's a really big variety.
You also get some jars of spices if you would like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, things you could take home. So say you didn't want to consume all that there. You could buy gifts for back home. So we were given, you're given points based on your length of stay and how many people are in your room. So it's per person, per night kind of thing. So we were given 7,500 points. I did not spend mine. I bought 1 can of soda, but we were working the whole time and also sitting by the pool close to the bar, so we didn't really need to stock our mini bars. Did you get anything else, Mike? Did you buy anything in the sundry?
Some little snacks and chips and whatnot to bring back, but otherwise, no, I didn't cash in on my points either.
Yeah, and since it's all inclusive, it's one of those things of did I waste my money? But you didn't really, because you probably had drinks at the bar and, you took part of all that. And if you go to all-inclusives often, think about how much you really drink out of the mini bar and decide whether or not that's, something that actually makes sense to do.
Yeah, with all the things that are going on around the resort, you don't spend a lot of time in the room to begin with.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's because one thing that you do at an all-inclusive resort is you eat, right? Yes. Yes, Mike.
Oh yes,
You do.
yeah.
Tell us about some of the food options.
Well, you've got the two restaurants that are open for all three meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you have two specialty dining restaurants that are open only for dinner time. So you had one that was the Mexican Asian feel to it, and the other was the Italian restaurant. We got to try out both of those while we were down there.
Yep. And the food was good. Did you think so?
Food was good, and I'm a picky eater, so it's hard to please me. But yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, there was something to please every palate, I think. So
yes.
there was the fancier and then the much more plain yet tasty. So, and so there is one restaurant that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then the taco bar. We can't go without talking about the taco bar.
That taco bar was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You could order a taco that is the size of Mike's head. And as you can see, that's
a big head.
That's a big taco. Yes. And also nachos. And so what we did actually was we would have lunch at the beach house and then we would have taco time around 3:00 and enjoy some tacos or some nachos or something like that. Really, really tasty. That bar also had tequila. And Sandy had asked a very good question, which is, how did I win the tequila contest? And so she knows how I won it because I'm classy with a K, but I didn't have to do anything too weird. So basically it was a tequila tasting. And so we went through the tequila tasting. He reviewed 3 different types of tequilas, and they were all actually the same brand, but just made distilled longer or in different processes. So different colored tequilas. So we talked a little bit about that. So we basically had one brand of tequila in 3 variations. But then he asked for volunteers to come up, and in a blind taste test, he poured out the house tequila, their house tequila, and a better tequila, a higher brand tequila. And I believe part of the point of this was not just to show off what an excellent taste I have, but it was also to demonstrate that their house tequila is actually quite good. So of the 3 of us, I was the only one who could discern correctly between the house tequila and the more expensive tequila. And admittedly, it was difficult. You saw me. I had to think about it. I was the last one.
It took you a while to figure it out. So it's not something you can really tell by the first swig. You really had to think about it and taste the different ones and see which one was which.
Yep. So I was very careful, and I won a T-shirt that says, "When life gives you limes, make a margarita." It is a size medium, so I will probably give it to my dog, but I won it. It's actually a cute little T-shirt too. So we also get another question from Troy. This is an excellent question. And Troy scuba dives and wants to know what will be included in his trip here to Margaritaville. So Margaritaville does not include scuba diving. There are very few all-inclusive resorts that do. They are out there, and that's something we can always help you with finding. But you can scuba dive. If your wife plays tennis, I didn't see tennis courts at this resort. Did you, Mike?
No,
I don't think so.
No tennis courts.
Yeah, so, but she could do other activities. There is, and again, I know Mike can't see this, but I'll just bring up the picture here of the Saint Somewhere Spa. So she could spend time there if she wanted to. And there is a fitness center attached to that as well. So if not tennis, she could at least get in a good workout. And something interesting while we're here at the spa, I want to show you, there are signs around with Spotify barcodes where you can actually, if you don't remember the song, or if it reminds you of one of the songs and you want to hear it, you can actually bring it up using your smartphone. And a lot of the resort activities were centered around QR codes and such. And part of that was COVID safety, but also part of that is convenience, and also I think trying to leave a smaller carbon footprint. So don't know how much of that will stick around forever and ever, but definitely those signs are there for good. So something you can definitely scan in. So we talked a little bit about the food, but we also, and remember, if you have any questions, please comment. If I didn't answer your question completely, Troy, please let me know. And let us know if you have any questions as we're talking. We're happy to answer those questions.
Real quickly, Elizabeth, about the taco bar.
Yes.
It's right on the beach. So you have a beautiful view of what's going on. You got a nice breeze that goes through there, so it's a great place to just sit and enjoy and relax.
Agreed. And if you don't want to go to the taco bar, if you're sitting in the pool and you think, man, I could really use some tacos, what do you do, Mike?
You order some tacos and have it delivered to the pool. They'll put it on an inflatable raft for you.
Yep. So you can eat right in the pool. I'm trying to find my picture of that. Hang on here. Let me bring this up for you.
I think I said there was 48 tacos on there.
Yeah, something like that. And it is an additional charge, about $45 US. But look at all those tacos. Like you would be everybody's best friend. It's equivalent to buying a round of drinks. But if you do that at a real bar where it's not all inclusive, that's a lot of money. But look at all those sauces and dips. It's amazing. And this pool is not very deep, so you can easily stand and eat your tacos. That's not going to be a super big challenge for you. And this is the pool itself. There is a bar there in the back, but it is not a swim up bar. There are stools there for you, but that wall is about 6 feet tall. And then just a few pictures of the beach just to show you sort of what the beach looks like. You'll see there's a little seaweed here. They come through, they rake that up and take it away. This was taken in the morning, and you can see the water is beautiful blue. So, Troy, you wouldn't be scuba diving right from here. You got to go out a ways, but there is a reef right off. So if you wanted to snorkel, I believe you could snorkel from here and actually see some things. And we saw a barracuda, didn't we, Mike?
There was. Now, I did talk to one person who did go snorkeling. So it was awesome out there. So you can definitely take care of that. But yeah, we were standing out on the pier and looked down, and there was a good 4-foot barracuda just chilling in the water. He wasn't sleeping or he wasn't swimming, but he was just chilling.
It was impressive, for sure. So Sandy coming through with all the booze questions. I appreciate that. Were the pool bars open? So this is actually something, the pool bar was open. There is one pool bar at Margaritaville, and it is kind of in the back of the resort. It's sort of a weird way to have designed it, but it is nice in that it's true swim up pool bar in that some of the swim out rooms are actually connected to the swim bar, the pool bar. So it was open. It's not open all day, but usually they aren't. And there are definitely resorts where the pool bars are not open. So you'd want to check with your travel agent before you go. This one, it was. All 3 bars were open at very good hours. And one of my favorite things about one of the bars is there's a wheel there. So if you've ever gone up to the bar and you're like, I don't know what I want to drink, so many choices. And I've already had 6 drinks. And so I don't, want to have something different. There was one bar that actually had like a wheel of drinks that you could spin, and it had everything from water and ice to shots of tequila and fancy cocktails, and you spin the wheel and get what you get. Of course, it is your vacation, so if you spin and get something you absolutely don't want, you don't have to accept it. This is not a bullying sort of situation, but it is a fun way, and it makes it easier on the bartenders who hear so many times, "Oh, just surprise me," and then they find out that their client does not like surprises. So I'm just going to look through these pictures a little bit more and see if there's anything else we want to make sure we talk about. We talked about the pools. There are several. Oh, I can show you a picture. I even have a picture of the wheel of drinks here. So beer, tequila shot, water, a glass of sparkling wine, a license to chill margarita. So everything from specialty drinks, a Very Berry Cosmo, a soda, a mezcal shot if you're feeling especially brave. So lots and lots of choices here. And again, you could spin it as many times as you want until you got what you want, or you can just use it as as sort of a inspiration. Just look at the wheel and say, "Oh, that looks good. I think I'll have that." Did you do the wheel, Mike?
No, I did not spin the wheel.
Yeah, I didn't either. A few pictures from the tequila taste. Well, a picture from the tequila tasting here. So you can see the 3 different kinds of tequilas, the darker one, the lighter one, and the white. And they did give us water. This beautiful little centerpiece with the blue water in it that had limes in case you needed to cleanse your palate afterwards. Oh, Mike is getting business. So I'm going to switch back to us again, even though that is us. And let's talk a little bit about the logistics of getting to and from Cancun. So let's silence Mike's phone. This is Mike's first
I'll just hang up on him.
He's a professional. Okay.
Sorry.
So Mike, did you need to take a COVID test to go to Mexico?
You do not need to take a COVID test to go to Mexico, but you need to take a COVID test to return from Mexico.
Indeed. And so did we take COVID tests before we went to Mexico?
Yes, we did, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to
Exactly.
get down there and realize I had COVID and got stranded for 2 weeks.
That would be terrible-ish. I mean, I could think of worse places to get stranded, but I did only have a carry-on, so we don't want to we don't want to wear the same clothes for 3 days that we had for 3 days for 2 weeks. So yes, we did test, and it was also for the comfort and safety of the people we were with. We were with a small group of people who had not been spending time together, so we wanted to be safe for each other as well. So highly recommend that even if the country doesn't require a test to come in, as long as the U.S. requires a test to come back, good idea to go get it before you go, because it's better to find out stateside that you've tested positive. And the chances are, if you do the test right before you go, it'll be accurate for when you come back, especially for Mike and I, because we literally, because the point of this trip was to learn how this works, we checked in on Wednesday. And when we checked in, we made our appointment for our COVID test, which for us was going to be the next day, Thursday, so that we would get the results on Friday so we could fly home on Saturday. So that's the other thing. You're not going to Mexico for 2 days right now. Plan to go for at least 3 nights so that you have time to take your test and come back. Otherwise, you will try to come back 2 days later and your test won't be back and you won't have an option to come back. Unless you took a test on your way right the day that you were leaving. And yeah, it's very complicated. So don't do that. Bad idea. Yeah. So Mike, you want to talk a little bit about how that process worked once we had our appointment?
Once we have the appointment, you go down to the front desk and check in. They have a doctor come to the resort, and they call you into a special room. It's kind of like the long walk of death.
It wasn't that bad.
And you go into a private room, and you sit down in a chair, and he has you pull your mask down, and he takes the Q-tip and crams it back into your brain.
Yep, just checks the back of your eyeball, make sure it's still there. Yep.
Yeah, eyes watering, the whole 9 yards.
And this was an antigen test, so it's the same test. It's the same method of collection. Some resorts will do cheek swabs. You know, it just depends on the resort. But the difference, which I learned, I didn't actually know this, was the PCR test requires lab analysis, and the antigen test is something they can basically use what they have there. So most resorts in Mexico are offering an antigen test, which is all that's required to come back into the U.S. They're offering it for free. And Margaritaville was also offering for, and its sister resorts as well, if you test positive while you're there and have to quarantine, they will provide you a place to stay. Now, they don't let you stay in your room where you were. They have a special building set aside, which is actually the building we went to test in as well. That is the quarantine building. And they will probably cut your supply of alcohol. They will feed you. They'll bring you room service, but you won't be able to leave your room. So it's a prettier view out the window than maybe at home, but it's the same quarantine you would have had at home. So keep that in mind. It's very important that you take care of yourself and take care. So speaking of that, masks were not required around the resort. All of the staff were wearing them, but for everyone who was a guest, it was sort of up to you. And so I carried mine around, and if I was walking right by someone, I might put it on. But I'm also vaccinated, so I wasn't too concerned for endangering other people. But so masks were basically optional at the time. Don't know how that will continue, and obviously we've heard a lot from the CDC. Not that that's relevant necessarily to Mexico, but we've heard a lot from the CDC about who needs to mask up and who doesn't at this point. So we expect that a lot of this will change, maybe as early as tomorrow. Honestly, we're doing this tonight to help push that along. As soon as you educate people about the new way of doing things, then of course it changes. So, and so we got our tests by email the next day. Look out for it because it's in Spanish, most of it. So you want to make sure it doesn't hit your spam filter or anything like that, but it is very clear to read. And then we were flying Delta Airlines. So we had to upload our results to Delta Airlines. They have basically a reader app that determines whether or not it's acceptable. I have heard that other airlines do it differently. Some airlines may have you actually show a physical piece of paper or show the test on your phone as you're boarding. But Delta allows you to do that ahead of time, which is kind of nice. It takes care of a lot of hassle in the airport. You do need to pay attention though, because those QR codes and things, they're in the app. There are places where you can find them, but if you're not looking for them, there were definitely people there at the gate who had not uploaded their tests, who didn't know that, they knew they needed a test, but they didn't know how to present it. So, yeah. Any other observations about that, Mike?
No, you just have a ton of paperwork you have to fill out and upload before you get to the airport. And then even when you're at the airport, you have to show your negative test to get to the TSA area.
Yes. So important. Be sure your phone is fully charged. You will need your phone. Also, make sure that all the documents that you need, your test results, the app for the airline that you're flying, all of that, make sure it's on your phone. Don't have it on your laptop or on your iPad in case you need to pull it out. Even if you've already uploaded it, make sure it's on your phone as well, just in case you need to pull up a backup copy. And there actually is an attestation form you need to fill out that says, yes, I am COVID free and I haven't been engaging in high risk activities. I haven't lied in anything. And that is on the Delta app. And I actually forgot to fill it out. So before I could get on the plane, I had to do that. So there was definitely a longer line at the check-in than normal because of them calling people up to the gate in order to check passports, check tests, check attestation forms, things that were not done already. But if you upload all that beforehand, then it'll feel like just any other flight home. Should be good to go.
And the one thing about Delta that they've changed is people are always used to boarding from the beginning in the front. Now, for regular coach class passengers, they're boarding from the rear of the aircraft forwards. So I was in the very front of the coach section, but I boarded last.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's designed to keep you from passing in front of people. Another thing that Delta recently changed, but that United and American and other airlines changed a while back, is Delta was protecting the middle seat up until May 1st. And the spin on it is very funny. They said, clients are demanding their middle seats back, which seems like a stretch. So go Delta for trying to sell it that way. But they are upset that they can't get onto plane. These planes are filling up. And since these seats are sitting empty, Delta is basically saying, all right, well, I think based on what the CDC is saying and everything, it's safe for us to go ahead and open those up. You still are required to wear the mask on the planes. We have not heard a single thing about that changing. So even though the CDC guidelines have changed, the airlines, and in fact, if you read the CDC guidelines, it says masks are still required on public transportation, including planes, buses, trains, anything like that where people are packed, subways, anywhere where people are packed together. So. And the airports and what as well. Yes, in the airports as well. And they go over mouth and nose, people, mouth and nose. So Sandy asks, what is your favorite margarita there? I only had the classic margarita, but let me say this, because you know that I'm picky. I can tell the house tequila from it was a good margarita. And what makes it a good margarita is it was not a pre-mixed, super sweet. It was real lime juice. It was a good, solid margarita. And frankly, I would expect nothing less from Margaritaville. I mean, they must have thought about that. But they did have a wide variety of margaritas. If you would like to drink tequila all day long, you go right ahead, try all of them, and let us know. So, Sandy, I'm counting on you to do that research and get back to me. So I think, Mike, was there anything else you wanted to say? If anybody has any questions, this is a great time to go ahead and add them to those comments, and we'll address them. But I'll let Mike make some remarks. Yeah, it's a small resort. It's got 148 rooms, 4 pools, 4 restaurants, 6 bars, the one spa you talked about. And then they have live entertainment every night, which was good entertainment. It was. The first night we were there, we listened to some Eagles music, and I guess the next night I didn't participate, but it was country. And then the last night we were there, it was 80s music. So it was nice to have live bands that listen to music each night. Yep. And I didn't listen to, I actually didn't do any of the live music. One of my team members asked me how the nightlife was. I was like, well, until about 9:30, it was great. After that, my eyeballs were closed. But as I walked by the country band as they were playing, and Jolene was the song, and Jolene is a great song, and there aren't too many Dollies in the world, and the singer was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. I was humming it all the way back to my room. That last night was 80s and 90s, and the bands were really, really good. And incidentally, if you aren't a huge Jimmy Buffett fan, let me explain something. When you get there and all the way through your trip, this happens. And for you Buffett fans, you know what that is. But I was a little confused when the guy at security did that. I thought he wasn't waving properly. Fins up. So you will be greeted with the Jimmy Buffett fins up. There are lots of Buffett moments. If you're a parrot head, there will be fellow parrot heads there. If you're not a huge fan, or say you're a huge fan but your spouse is not, or your kids don't even know who this Jimmy Buffett guy is, this is a great way to learn. But I sat there and worked when I was the first of our group to arrive at the resort besides the Delta folks who had already been there. So I sat down at the bar to work for about an hour or so, and I was a good 30 to 40 minutes in before I heard my first Jimmy Buffett song. So it's not Jimmy Buffett 24/7. It's not, you're not going to have Cheeseburger in Paradise stuck in your head for 3 days after you leave because that's all you heard. You will hear every Jimmy Buffett song eventually, but they space it out with other stuff. And so even the live bands, they would play a Jimmy Buffett song every now and then, but the rest of it, they were playing Bon Jovi, they were playing Dolly Parton, the Eagles. So a little bit of everything for sure.
And I have to say, I searched and searched for my lost shaker of salt, but due to COVID, it was not available. So I found my packet of salt.
Yes. So the shaker of salt is still lost.
It is still lost.
Yes, eventually, hopefully it will come back. Troy asked a great question. Let me see if I can throw this up on the screen about an airline ticket and how the price has doubled. Are you seeing a trend to book flights early? So there was a meme going around among travel folks just recently that said something to the effect of, you're looking for a good deal on travel. Well, remember what toilet paper was like last year at this time? It's kind of like that. Everybody, honestly, Mike and I and any of my agent friends who are here tonight can tell you it's been a fire hose. We went from 0 to 8 million, like immediately. Everyone gets the shot in their arm and they want to go. So there are places you can go, but there's still a lot of places you can't go. So what we're seeing is low supply and high demand. As places start opening up, I think that will shift a little bit. So Troy, that's a really long-winded answer to your question, but I do think that it is harder to find flights right now. We just had Delta actually canceled a lot of nonstops from Raleigh-Durham to Cancun. Not all of them. They kept their Saturday ones, but it affected a lot of people, and they've shifted them to, connecting flights. And so in order to, that means these planes are full now. So now if you want to go to Cancun, there's less flights to get on, and there's already people on them that had already booked flights. The other thing to know is if you book a flight today for next February, expect the schedule to change, Mike, 400 times between now and then, approximately. Yeah, a lot. It's going to change a lot. So it could change days. It could change flight numbers. It could change times drastically. So if you think you found that perfect flight with the perfect times that lines up with all of your perfect plans, just be prepared. That flight may not exist tomorrow. No. So yeah, I think if you see a good price on a flight that you want, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and get it because it could just go up, but know that it might not be the same flight by the time you actually take it, especially further out. I had flights change for November 2 weeks ago. So Delta is they're sort of taking the whole schedule. And of course, right now, there aren't a lot of flights to Europe, but as soon as it starts opening up, we're going to see flights starting to open up. So suddenly, those flights might actually get less expensive, but they're going to get more expensive first, because once things open up and people feel confident to book, they're going to book, fill up all the planes that are going, and then we're going to see the trickle in of new flights. So yeah, it's
keep in mind that a lot of the planes were grounded during COVID, so a lot of the pilots are off. So once travel opened up again, they have to bring those planes back and those pilots back, and they're going to put them on the markets that will be the highest yield for the airlines. That means they're going to pull them out of certain markets that they may have been flying earlier.
Yep. It's all about the money.
All about supply and demand.
Yep. And keep in mind too, I've had at least one person who may be on here tonight who asked me, okay, Italy's opening up. I want to be the first person over there. Okay, but understand that you may be very lonely. And I don't mean that from a perspective of tourists, because you're like, great, there's going to be nobody there. I'll have the whole country to myself. But, these countries all have the same problems we're having. If you've tried to go to restaurants or, if you've stayed in a hotel and tried to go to the hotel bar, it's not open. They don't have staff. These people have taken other jobs in order to support themselves during this time. And they may have moved away. I mean, it's not like they're just going to come back. It's been over a year. So it's going to take a long time to restaff that. So just because if you have friends and family over in Italy that you want to go see, definitely a great time to go see them. But if you're going to see all the museums and, eat all the pizza and, do all those things, it might not be the same experience if you go right away. You need to give them a little bit of time to rebuild. So Mexico, however, has been open since June of last year. So actually a lot of there's still places, some resorts may not be open yet. They've shifted staff around, but these places that have been open for a while are running, pretty much at what they're used to. Maybe less food choices. And if the capacity goes down even further, they may close a restaurant or two, but it's going to go resort by resort. Right now, Mexico's at 60% capacity allowed. So our resort was at 60% when we were there. Didn't feel crowded at all. Did you think?
Did not feel crowded at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So good time to go, but it's harder to find inventory. I got a lot of people saying, great, I'll go to Mexico. And then I'd go to look and there's like 3 rooms that I can offer them. So just be ready to be flexible for sure. So, and I think one thing, Mike, that we talked about while we were there was this is a small resort, probably best for long weekends, not for maybe a 7-night stay.
Yeah, with only having 4 restaurants and 2 of them open for dinner, the specialty restaurants, you're going to be eating at the same place every day. So if you're there for a week, it's a small resort, no motorized sports. So a long week would be a little too much, I think. I think a 4-day weekend would be good, 5 days maybe net. But it is a great resort to immerse yourself in and get that relaxation feel going on.
Yep. And back to Troy's question earlier, I mean, I think if you are a very active person, this is probably not the resort for you. It's definitely got that Jimmy Buffett, sort of changes in latitude feel. There's no dress code. There's, you can wear shorts to dinner, which is not something that is typical in all-inclusives. So if you really like a casual atmosphere, Jimmy Buffett is casual. He's the embodiment of casual. So you will be very happy here. But yeah, if you want a nice dinner out, or if you like the activity, if you want to take a Hobie cat out or something like that, this is not the resort for you. There are other resorts in this family of resorts that are better matches for you. So we could certainly help you find those. But great stretch of beach, definitely a great place, especially after the year that we've had. It was really nice to just sit and chill by the pool or sit and chill listening to the ocean. It was great.
And they do destination weddings. We actually had a wedding going on while we were down there. Mm-hmm. They said usually about 40, 50 people max or something like that. But it was a nice little wedding right on the beach. They will set up tables on the beach for you to have dinner for a nice little twosome to have dinner at. They have nice little beds that you can reserve on the beach to relax and chill. Otherwise, they have a couple of little areas you can go sit at that overlook the water. That's nice as well, little private areas.
Mm-hmm. Including a fire pit, which we didn't see lit while we were there, but it was warm while we were there too. So, and hammocks around, it really is definitely all about chilling out.
Plenty of hammocks, plenty of the eggshell chairs. If you like to sit and chill and read a good book or take a quick nap, those are great. They're all over the resort.
Mm-hmm. One of the bars has swing chairs, so if you want to swing. And actually, the first picture I showed with the parrots in the background, that couch, that's a swinging couch in the lobby. They had swinging Bali beds in the lobby as well. So really quite relaxing. So Susan asked a question about excursions. Are there excursions you can do off property? Absolutely. And actually, Mexico is running a good deal of excursions. There are times where, you do want to sort of check ahead because Tulum was closed for a while. But you're only about 15 minutes south of Cancun here, which is actually nice, again, for that short getaway. You don't have a long transfer to the airport. Most people who are going to go see the ruins will want to stay further down Riviera Maya, closer to Tulum, since it's about an hour and a half from the airport. Then you can go to some of the resorts further south, maybe take a transfer that's about an hour. But if you only have 4 days, then having that 15-minute transfer is really nice. But because of where you are, that means you could go up to Cancun proper. You could go take a ferry over to Isla Mujeres. You could also go down to Playa del Carmen and take the ferry over to Cozumel or go see the ruins. You're sort of at a nice point on the coast where you can go up or down. to do those excursions. So yes, I would say that if you want to do excursions, it's a great sort of landing place for you. And especially if you're a parrot head, you get your Jimmy Buffett, you get that nice relaxed feel, but you can also go do a lot. And Mexico has so much to offer. And this brand that manages this Margaritaville is Charisma brand, and they are known for good food and even farm to table food. So the food really was delicious. It was fresh. It was well prepared. And that's a nice thing to find in an all-inclusive as well. Buffets were not a thing, and I expect that will be true for a little while. There are resorts in the area that still have buffets, although they are generally not self-serve. So you get to go, and it's more like the cafeteria where I like that, and they put it on your plate for you, so you aren't reaching in and everybody handling the tongs. But here, everything was served to you a la carte at each restaurant. So,
should we talk about my favorite thing at the resort?
Absolutely.
We can make slushies.
And it almost killed you. And Troy, you would love this. You can make slushies for everyone since you're in such great shape. Mike, talk about that.
What they have is they have a little slushy bar. You go up to it and tell them what kind of ingredients you want in your slushy. And they'll go and prepare it for you, put it in a container, take it out to a stationary bike, grab it down, and have you pedal to mix up the slushy. You're actually making your own slushy as you go.
Yep.
Oh, that was so good.
Yep. And just in case you're concerned, if you can't quite finish it, if you get tired or whatever, they will put it in the blender and finish it off for you and make sure that it contains everything you want. So alcoholic or non-alcoholic, they had health food slushies as well with protein and stuff like that. So it was great. And there were 2 of those stations, like 4 bikes total where you could do that. 2 of the different bars had it. So many people liked trying that out. It's a great little novelty. So Troy says 1 for you, 2 for me. I think that's fair. If you're willing to bike me a slushie, you are completely entitled to 2. I made Mike give me some of his.
And very, very humid, so you definitely deserve it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it was hard work. Mike thought it was going to be fun, and about 15 seconds into it, he was like, "What did I sign up for?" So yeah, it was warm, but and they aren't Pelotons. They're
old school.
They're old school bikes, yeah. So it's not the smoothest ride either, but they spin that blender. All right. Do we have any other questions? We're getting in on about 45 minutes here, which is about what we were thinking we would cover. But if you have questions, we are more than willing to answer them.
When we arrived, Elizabeth, you arrived this giant wooden gate. It felt like you're going into Camelot or something. You have to open the gate for you to even go in. But when you arrive, they disinfect your bags right outside of the van. And then you have to step on the carpet to disinfect your feet before you can go into the check-in area. So they're really aware of COVID-free.
Yep. Hand sanitizer was given to you the same way that they normally give out cold towels and that sort of thing. And then they give you a margarita popsicle. So good. So tasty.
There's a lot of documentation to fill out when you're checking in on their tablet to make sure.
Yep. I think I scanned about 6 QR codes in the check-in process. Fill out this form, make your appointment but the nice thing is you take care of that all right away. And we didn't mention you do wear a bracelet, but it's actually, I should have brought it into this room. It's basically a rope bracelet with just a little plastic disc on it. That's the RFID chip, and that opens your door. But it's very comfortable I have sensitive skin. And so, if you go to Disney World, you have a magic band, or some people wear those Fitbits, Garmin. I actually have a fitness ring because my wrist gets irritated with those plastics. This was just like a pleather, I guess, probably, but just a little rope, with this little tiny plastic disc. Didn't bother me at all. And you could swim with it. You would forget about it, honestly. And then that way you always had your key with you. And that's actually really nice. I really like that sort of wearable, ability to open your door. So, and your credits were on there. So if you needed to charge the room or whatever, you could do that as well. So very similar to a magic band. Yeah. Yeah. And with a small resort, you can get to know your bartenders and your servers. And so if you're friendly and, you would like that sort of camaraderie, it is great for that. I mean, some great bartenders, they could flip the shakers and, do all the Tom Cruise cocktail stuff. So, definitely a show to behold. And for people who were starved for entertainment.
We did do a mixology class. They teach you how to make a few drinks. So they're tossing the drinks around. And that was a lot of fun to participate in that.
Yep.
Then you had the tequila tasting.
Yep. And that mixology class was great for me. I don't tend to like rum drinks because I don't like a lot of sugar in my drinks, and rum they tend to sugar it up. But they did 3 different alcohols, so that was really nice. It wasn't just rum drinks, which is what you usually get you're expecting with the umbrella in it and all that. They had a wide variety. So any other questions? I'm so glad you guys tuned in. I'm so glad to see you here. And Susan, this is definitely a resort that you could get behind. Again, short period of time probably, but I know you would love it. I know Susan is a parrot head. So any other questions out there before we wrap it up? All right. Well, Mike, this has been fun. We should do it more often.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we should travel together more often so we can do this. Thanks. And thanks, guys, for putting up with the technology. Thanks for dealing with my heart attack while Mike was trying desperately to get logged in there for a minute, where he was a floating head. We're going to just throw one more comment up here because obviously people that I know are drinkers. So rum is delicious, not slighting the rum at all. Just upsets my tum-tum sometimes with all that sugar. So, all right, guys, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us. Again, Elizabeth Karen with Outlander Travel and
Mike Edick, Pioneer Travel.
All right, you guys have a great evening. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.